Hello and welcome to my August 2013 video game pickups. I've got a lot of games to get through this month, so I'm going to sort of go through them as quickly as possible with a brief description. I'm going to start with the PS1 titles, starting off with Anna Kournikov's Smash Court Tennis. Now, I absolutely love Smash Court Tennis Pro Tournament 2 on the PS2, and I quite enjoyed this back in the day, particularly the multiplayer and the mini games. So yeah, it's kind of a cult hit. Next up, we have Konoha, Door to Phantom Mile, and does actually come with the Point Blank demo. The case could be in better condition, but this is kind of a rare game, so I can take what I can get, really. You know, I mean, the game works fine, and yeah, really cute, very sort of addicting puzzle platform game. And I highly recommend it. If you can't get the physical copy, then definitely download it on PSN. Or also, there is a updated Wii version of this as well, but that is also quite rare as well. Next up, we have Ape Escape. This is one of the few occasions where I've bought an old game and I've played it from start to finish and absolutely love it. This game uses the analog controls for the PS1. So if you've got the old-timey sort of PS1 control, this game will not work with it. But yeah, it's really fantastic, very sort of fun, addicting game. You get lots of gadgets in this game, and all sort of uses the analog stick really well. The analog controls, I should say. And if you love sort of cheesy voice acting, sort of Resident Evil, then this is one of those sort of charming sort of games that you should definitely pick up. Next up, we have Parappa the Rapper. I have Parappa the Rapper 2 on the PS2, and I absolutely love that game, and I sort of love this one as well. It's a bit harder than the sequel, but some of the tracks on this game are just so memorable. I actually sort of downloaded them to my iPod and I sort of listen to them sort of daily. Yeah, really catchy. Next up, we have Broken Sword. Now, as I mentioned in like previous videos, I was a big fan of like old point and click adventures like Monkey Island, Grim Fandango, Full Throttle, and but I never played the sort of more serious ones like this. And I played it for a bit and I kind of enjoy it. The only thing I don't like is the loading times; they're a little bit too long. So if you're looking to get into this series, I'd probably recommend getting the PC versions. But the PS1 version is good enough anyway. Next up, we have Crash Bandicoot 2. Finally completing the Crash trilogy of the first three games, me sort of picking them up. And this is probably my favourite of the three. It's the one I played the absolute most, and ironically it's the last one I pick up, but no matter. Absolutely superb game. I tried so hard to get 100%, get all the secrets and all that, failing horribly, but still enjoying this game. Still enjoyed the game nonetheless. Next up, we have Jamalami, which I guess you could say is sort of like the spiritual sequel to Parappa the Rapper on the PS1. And it's pretty good. It's not as good as Parappa the Rapper, in my personal opinion, because it's actually a little bit more tougher than the original Parappa the Rapper, which I didn't think was possible. But it's still a fun game for what it is. A lot of these sort of rhythm action games are kind of short, so sort of make up for it for being quite difficult. Next up, we have Resident Evil Director's Cut, and it should come with the Resident Evil 2 demo. There we are. All my games are complete, as you can see. And yeah, I kind of prefer this to the original. Not the only thing I don't like is the sort of music they put into the director's cut version. But other than that, I prefer the director's cut version, most notably because the sort of difficulty levels you can choose, the auto aiming, which was for me pretty essential because I wasn't really. I'm not really sort of into like the sort of old Salvesi controls, like with the having to sort of manual aim. I was never a big fan, but this one I absolutely love. Next up we have Kadelka, which is sort of like a spiritual sequel to Shadow Hearts. I know this because of like sort of research on YouTube. But yeah, I was definitely intrigued to sort of pick this one up. I probably won't play it until I beat both Shadow Hearts 1 and 2, but it's definitely one I'm putting on the back burner in the future. I can't wait to give it a go. And finally, for the PS1 games, we have SmackDown 2, Know Your Role. And this is, without doubt, one of my favourite sort of wrestling games, definitely in the top 3, no question. Really sort of fast-paced arcade style wrestling game, not like the sort of simulation type games you have now, which I don't mind, but I kind of miss the sort of fast-flowing sort of arcade style that these games had back in the day, and yeah, I kind of miss that. Next up, the only PS3 game I bought this month. It's quite a good one, and that's Resident Evil Revelations. Very, very good survival horror. Although most people would still call this an action game, I think it kind of bridges the gap quite well. Certainly compared to Resident Evil 5 and 6. The only thing I don't like is you can't sort of manually save. It sort of has a auto-save system. Well, you can manually save, but only at the end of each level. If you sort of screw up, you have to do the entire level over, which, I don't know, I wasn't too keen on personally. But yeah, it's still a really good game. And if you're sort of looking for a more survival horror-esque Resi game for like modern times, I think this is as close as you're going to get for now. Next up we have the one Super Nintendo game, and it's quite a good one though, and that is Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Now I bought the first Donkey Kong Country quite recently, and but that to me that was like a childhood classic. I never actually got round to playing the other two. I have the second one on Virtual Console on my Wii, but I never got around to playing it. And even though I've sort of heard rave reviews about it, and I've sort of never got around to playing this one either. But I had a little play recently, and yeah, it's this classic sort of Donkey Kong Country, and yeah, really fun. But yeah, I can't wait to get a physical copy of Donkey Kong Country 2 one day. Next up we have a Wii game. It's kind of an obscure one, and that's Fragile Dreams. Sort of kind of interesting game. I don't know too much about it, to be honest, but I know a lot of YouTubers that I've watched recently speak very highly of this one, so I thought I would take a chance and give it a go. Like I said, I don't know too much, but I hear it's one of those sort of cult classics on the Wii, like Zack and Wiki and stuff like that. Next up, we got a couple of GameCube games. Now, this is one I had ages ago, like literally like years and years ago, and I stupidly sort of got rid of it. but now I've finally got a copy back at long last, and that's Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door. Really, really beautiful, entertaining, tactical RPG, I guess you could say. Well, I guess it's sort of like a traditional RPG, I guess. It's like turn-based, and I never thought like back in the day like a Mario game would become an RPG. But boy, boy was I proved wrong. This game is absolutely superb. I definitely feel the original on the N64 is better, but this is still like a very entertaining game. I also like the one on the Wii as well, but that, even though it's kind of different from the previous two. And I also bought Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, like a I guess you could say black label, or in this case golden label copy. It comes with the limited edition Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, I believe. It's on the second disc, I believe. No, that's not it. There we are. I don't know, Ocarina of Time and the Master Quest, which was never released. I guess I'm assuming it's some kind of add-on. But yeah, I pretty much bought this because I sold my Player's Choice version, because I kind of wanted the original version because it looks nicer on my shelf. And finally I've got a load of PS2 games, first of which is Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Now I have Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, but this one comes with a making of DVD, and it was only £1 when I bought it in cash converters, so I'm quite happy with that. Bujengai, I believe it's called. Bujengai Swordmaster. This is kind of like Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi. It's very sort of over the top, crazy ass story to it. But yeah, it's just that I played this game for a few minutes, and this is like visually sort of stunning, and it's really cheap as well, actually. So I highly recommend picking it up if you're sort of PS2 game collecting at the moment. War of the Monsters. This one, when it initially came out, didn't really get a lot of critical praise, but then all of a sudden it had a very limited release, and this sort of became super rare. So much so, I know it's hard to believe, but I remember it being on an episode of Antiques Roadshow like years ago, and I never thought a video game would be on like and an episode of Antiques Roadshow, but yeah, that's definitely a first. But I'm guessing there was a bunch of like reprints, sort of pushing the price down a bit. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like sort of like a 3D version of King of the Monsters, back in the sort of 16-bit era. It's quite good. Next up we have The Godfather, which I've never played. I watched the first The Godfather 1 and 2, and yeah, love them both equally. But yeah, I never got around to playing the actual game because initially I didn't hear great things, but then like later on, like people actually gave this game a little bit more of a chance, and yeah, it's quite a good open world sort of GTS sort of game with the sort of story of the Godfather, which is quite good. So okay, I'm just going to cut this for part one because there's a couple more games I want to talk about, but I'm sort of running out of time here. So yeah, I will see you later for part two.